This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
Hello, everybody. This is Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, but it is December 31st. 2020 is almost in the rearview mirror for us here in the U.S. and across the world, and I'm sure that many of us are very glad to switch over to a new year and maybe start fresh a bit. And one of the most fun things I get to do with my show is to talk to all sorts of new people. And one of my very new writer friends now is named Denise Wheatley, and you will love our talk today and her newest book, The Love at the Iclce Cafe, which is out right now. But let me tell you a little bit about Denise. She is a lover of happily ever after and the art of storytelling. She has written and ghostwritten numerous novels and novellas that run the romance gamut, from contemporary to paranormal, sweet to steamy. Denise strives to pen entertaining stories that embody the matters of the heart while creating characters who are strong, colorful, and relatable. She is an RWA member and received a BA in English from the University of Illinois at Chicago, the city where she was born and raised. And when Denise is not sitting behind a computer, you can find her in a movie theater, on a tennis court, watching true crime television, and chatting on social media. Like I said, Love at the Iclce Cafe is her book with Tule. It is out now. And you can find Denise at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Book Club, Goodreads, and her blog. And I have all those links in the right of the show, as well as links to her book. Welcome to the show, Ms. Denise. How are you today?
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, it is a crazy cold, rainy morning here in San Antonio. It is near freezing, and it is raining. So a very different day than we're used to here. And I was thinking about that,
though, right?
It is a weird year. And I was thinking about that years ago. We visited Chicago, and I thought that Texas weather was crazy. You guys have some intense weather up there.
It is insane. We've had our first snowfall of the year, and it's cold. If it's not rainy, it's snowy. It's been weird. Global warming has definitely hit. So it's not as bad as it used to be, but it is still crazy. It is.
Yeah. And you guys get those intense thunderstorms too, like we do here, because, I mean, a friend of mine actually was a nurse there for a while, and he was talking about how people in Chicago dress in layers because you don't know sometimes. It could be 60 and nice, and you walk out and it's 28 and snowing. I mean, you have to be ready for every kind of weather.
You have to be ready. We had a crazy storm this year. I had a window that got struck by lightning this year, and it was like a bomb had been thrown. Yeah, it was insane. It fits 2020, all the craziness. So
you need to keep that in a book, because then you can have somebody come fix the window.
That's true. See? A very handsome handyman. I like that.
Or you could have a really cool woman come fix the window, and it's like his window, and he doesn't know how to fix it.
I like that even better. I do.
Yeah.
I like that even better.
Yeah.
We are capable as well, right?
Yes, ma'am. And, I was telling my kids, we used to watch the Disney Channel show Handy Manny, which was like, check all the boxes of what's assumed about, certain people. But the thing is that they love the tools, so when they could figure out what tools were what. And so it's like, okay, well, I'll take that part. That's fine. But yeah, no, I think it's a good thing to make sure that no matter what gender you have for your child's gender is, that's definitely something you need to know is way around the toolbox.
I agree.
With your weather up there is kind of beautiful segue for talking about your newest book, Love at the Iclce Cafe, because it is quite chilly in that book as well.
It is, yeah, nice snowy little small town in Germany, yes.
I love it. So have you traveled a lot? Have you been to this place in Germany that you're having your book?
Well, Gothenburg is actually a fictitious town, but it's based on stories my father told me because he was based in Germany when he served in the U.S. military. He was in the Army.
Okay.
So he
Okay.
always told me fantastic stories about the communities there that he'd visit, the people he'd meet. And that was really my inspiration for creating this little town, a community of great people who are very friendly and loving and very tight knit. So yeah, the insight to give that up to my father. He was the one who inspired that, definitely.
Oh, I love it. I have friends who live over there, and they post these pictures of all the, like, the Christmas markets and the lights and everything, and it's just it looks just amazing.
It's stunning. I think no one does it better. Germany does it the best. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So do you have plans to go over there and see it for yourself at some point?
I would love to. When we can travel again, when it's safe, I would absolutely love to do that. Markets, again, I would probably spend all of my money at the markets, but that's okay.
Right.
But yeah, I would love to be in that little environment. I mean, it just looks so pretty and festive. So I definitely have plans to visit whenever I get a chance.
There's this guy on I've watched for years, Rick Steves, and he's always like this really laid back dude and he's traveling, and he did one for Christmas one year in Europe, and so it had Germany and Switzerland and France and Spain and Italy, all these areas and the UK and all these beautiful festivals and everything, and it just looked just like something straight out of a book, and just
it's
beautiful.
Breathtaking.
Yeah. And so tell me, what's going on at the Iclce Cafe here? What's going down?
Well, my two main characters, Nina and Scott, their parents own the cafe, and so my characters grew up there. Basically, they were Army brats, and so they spent a lot of time there. Nina would bake with her mom, and Scott would always experiment with different dishes. He's always loved to cook. And then in their adult years, Nina moved on and she moved to California. She's working as a patent attorney now. But Scott stayed behind. He wanted to maintain the cafe as their parents got older. He signed on as the executive chef, and he's running the show and has turned it into a really beautiful destination restaurant. But eventually the parents decide to sell. So Scott's devastated. And, Mina's happy for the parents. She's thinking, hey, retire, go enjoy your life. But Scott wants to hold on to it. So when Mina goes to Gothenburg to help facilitate the sale, she kind of falls under Scott's spell. He's very convincing, and he's trying to figure out a way to hold on to the cafe and keep it in the family. And then that becomes Mina's struggle. How does that fit into her life? She still wants her parents to retire. So, but in the midst of that, she falls in love with the town again. She hadn't been there in years, and just reconnects in a way that she didn't expect. So that's kind of where we just get to see how things unfold, and looking at their journey, they kind of make different decisions on what they might want out of life.
Right. So when you wanted to write this book, I mean, there's all sorts of, you've written other books, you've ghostwritten, you've done a lot of this gamut. What was it about this story that you said, I have to write it? What was that catalyst?
Okay, so I have to admit that I am obsessed with Hallmark. I love the Hallmark movies. Countdown to Christmas, the Winterfest. I love all of the Christmas movies. So I love the holiday. So that was definitely an inspiration for me. And of course, you have to have snow. You have to have a snowy town. Small town writing is so cozy. And we love a cafe. We love cupcakes and, great dishes. So all of those things came together and just really inspired me to start putting the story together. And then I just wanted a more unique setting, something a little bit different, take us out of the state. So, and again, my father's words kind of came into play with what he'd speak about Germany. So I think all those things came together and helped me build the story.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that sounds like an absolutely perfect Hallmark situation. So, yeah, we do. We all need the snow and everything else. And I think there's something really beautiful about that. It's almost like it's like starting over. Hope. I don't even know what the word is half the time. I don't know what it is about snow. For me, but maybe it's because I grew up in Texas most of the time and didn't see much. But it is just, I don't know, starting fresh maybe. I don't know what it is. I mean, and
it's bright, it's pretty, it can brighten up a night sky. I don't know what it is either, but it's something about snow that is it's just gorgeous, and I don't know. I just look at it, it's like a big street light to me. It just lights up everything.
Well, we lived in Missouri for about 4 years, and the first time it snowed there, it looked like literally like God was sprinkling powdered sugar on the world. I mean, it just looked like that.
It
was really
pretty. I love that.
It was just like that really light, lovely, snow. And I was at work, and I was a nurse, and I was looking out the window. I was like, guys, it's snowing. And everybody I worked with had probably never left St. Louis. And so they're like, yeah. And I'm like, no, really, it's snowing. And it was just giddy. I was giddy, with it. And it took them a minute to realize that, I didn't grow up with this. So they were like, oh, that's right.
Right,
but
that's what so many people say, that first snowfall. Yeah, they love the first snowfall. It's magical. It really is, because it doesn't even seem real. It seems like you're on a set of a movie,
Mm-hmm. So are you going to bring us back to the Iclce Cafe? Are you going to take us to other friends and other characters that are in the book? I mean, where are we going with this one?
You mean for a sequel?
Yeah.
Ooh, I would love to do that. I guess I would have to talk to Julie about it and see if they'd be interested in a sequel, because it would be, I can't give away what happens in this one, but there's certainly room for another story, I think. So
yeah,
we'll see what see what readers think. If readers take to the story, with the early readers, they seem to really enjoy it. So to write a sequel to it, if there's a demand for it, I would definitely be here for another story. It's in me.
Well, I will put my 2 cents in and say absolutely it should happen.
Okay. I will take note of that.
And so we were talking about books and snow and finding that escape a little bit. I know 2020 has been crazy. What has been your way of kind of keeping your center? What has helped you? What kind of books or what things have you watched, or what are friends or family or faith, or what are those things that have helped you get through this year?
It's been a combination of all of those things. Definitely family, definitely faith, and books, right? I've been doing more writing than reading, but being able to tell stories has been very therapeutic through all of this. So the writing has been extremely helpful. And then, escaping, with Netflix or different movies. I love romantic comedies, and so watching those, again, the Christmas movies, that's definitely been helpful. But my little guilty pleasure is true crime television. I love the Investigation Discovery Channel, all of the bloggers on YouTube. They tell stories of mysteries, and so I really get deep into that too, and that's a really great escape for me as well.
What has been, and I hate to say your favorite true crime, because obviously something awful has happened, but what has really kind of held your interest the most? I mean, is there a certain person or series of events or anything like that that you find the most fascinating?
There are cases that just grab me and I cannot let them go, and it's really the unsolved mysteries. And I think when women go missing, and you try and figure out what happened to them, or women who are murdered and you just can't figure out who did it, or who did it, but the person's not arrested. You hear how I'm getting all wound up over this. So, but that is definitely something I'm passionate about. I look back on these stories and I check back to see, well, did somebody finally get arrested? So I think those are the ones that really grab me, the missing, the cases of missing women, the cases of women who have been murdered and no arrests have been made. Those are the ones that really stay with me.
Yeah. I think about that, and I don't know, maybe it's because when I became a mother, those things hit me differently. I think because that's someone's child. It doesn't matter if she was 35 or she was 17.
Right.
She's someone's child. And I just can't even imagine. This is heartbreaking.
And you see the families, the family interviews are also very heart-wrenching as well, to see them speak on what happened to their loved one. It's painful. So
and I think too it's fascinating in a way of if you're just kind of sitting there trying to solve the puzzle, like you're saying, to figure out what happened, but also it's just humanistic to want to see the whole human side of it, the whole heartbreak.
Absolutely.
So, but
absolutely,
it's definitely that range of emotions for sure. So, what is any historical events that, I mean, I know there's a lot of stuff that's covered on true crimes for contemporary, but any historical events that you follow or wonder about with new technologies coming about, maybe those things being solved?
That's interesting. You see so many cases where DNA had not, or the forensic science studies had not evolved. So many cases that occurred in the 70s and the 80s, the way that they can reopen those cases and use the more modern technology to make arrests after 25, 30 years, that is amazing to me. And, you see so many of those cases, these men are old, they're in wheelchairs, but they go to jail. They go to jail for life because they did something so many years ago, and we can finally make an arrest,
Right. And put peace with the family for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So it's amazing. I know that there was a case, was it this year? Or probably because it's 2020, but it was somebody had done a DNA study, like 23andMe or something. And they were like, "Oh, what's this person in your DNA line?" And it was someone who had gotten in had done a lot of horrible stuff. And I'm trying to remember which one it was, but yeah, it was something like that. And it just, it really triggered off a lot of people. And yeah, he went to jail. So it's it's a weird, it's an interesting process for sure. So what were your go-to reads growing up?
So I, of course, had my books as a child, Beverly Cleary, Judy Blume, but I would also sneak my mother's books. So I was, as a child, reading Jackie Collins and Sidney Sheldon and Danielle Steele behind my mother's back. She didn't know that I was doing these things. But I certainly was. So I loved, and I think that's how I fell in love with romance novels, because I started reading them at such a young age. So those authors, again, I did the Blubber and the Are You There, Goddess, Me, Margaret. I did those books, but I also read, the adult stuff too. And loved it.
Yeah, it's interesting when you back when, I'm 53, but I know that the YA market, young adult market, really didn't exist much. I mean, it was you went from, like you're saying, Judy Blume straight into sneaking Jackie Collins books and the Thornbirds and things like that.
Yes.
And then, of course, those were all becoming movies of the week in the 80s. So, you watched, I think it was Hollywood Wives and, what was it? Yeah, the Thornbirds, and there was Lace. There was another one that was called Lace.
Right.
And, it was like, this big jump. And of course, now I tell my kids about it, and they're like, what do you mean? Because, there's a whole section at Barnes and Noble for young adult. But yeah, it's interesting to hear. I have so many people I interview that are between the ages 30 to 50-ish, and they will say, "Oh yeah, I had to sneak those books." Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the YA market now is huge, and what's so interesting is you have so many adults who still read those books, the YA books, because they're so enjoyable. We really didn't have that.
Right, and even the middle grade books. There's some really amazing middle grade stuff going on.
Because the lessons are so relevant still. And they're lessons that many adults, not to be judgmental, but many adults haven't really grasped, the common sense, the kindness that's reiterated in those books. And I think, some people, it serves them well to revisit it, because there are so many lessons that still affect, adults. I love that aspect of it.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of adults that just flat out never really fell in love with writing. And I talked to so many, of course, on the show and through writing groups, that everybody was, we went to the library every week. I had my bag, I'd fill it up, go home and read them all, bring them back. And then I meet people that are like, no, we never did that. Never went to the library.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if
I wasn't in that household
or what. Yeah.
We were in the book club. My mom was a very avid reader. Both my parents, actually. You remember the book clubs?
Right. Oh, I love
the summer reading list and all that. Absolutely. I couldn't wait to get the catalog to look at all the books that I could access and order. So, but I think growing up in homes where the parents are avid readers, one thing, my father did not like fiction, and he always came down on my mom and me for reading our fiction. He thought, and what he doesn't realize, there are so many facts in fiction,
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be learned in fiction novels, but my father's very, he's all about the historical books and the autobiographies, and so And look at me now. I'm like, now you're really ashamed of me, right? Because now I'm writing fiction.
Well, I know my grandmother she was a huge, she loved to read autobiographies, biographies, historical, factual type stuff like you're saying. And I remember, she lived in this little town, in Texas called, Cameron, Texas, and she had to live with her grandmother her last few years of high school, and her grandmother ran a boarding house, and this was in the 20s and 30s, and she said, and she would send me down to the corner store to buy those true romance novels. It was so embarrassing, And she's telling me this, and I'm laughing. But apparently my great grandmother would every afternoon she'd close the kitchen, everybody go back to work or whatever, and then she'd sit on her chaise lounge with her snuff and read a romance novel, and just loved it. I love it. And my grandmother was horrified. It was awful, and I'm just laughing about it. It's like, yeah, well, maybe a little fiction would have, been a good thing.
Absolutely. It's such a nice escape. And I think readers outside of the romance world, they take it for granted. They don't understand the high level of intelligence within the book, within the authors who write them. It's not easy writing. It's not always easy reading.
No.
And, I think the romance industry has gotten a bad rap at some points over time. And, it's sad. But, for those who love, it's a $1 billion industry, billion plus. So obviously there's something to it, right?
Absolutely. Well, and I think it's about hope, it's about finding, and people are like, oh, well, I've had this discussion before with people. They're like, why would you read romance? You know how it's going to end. I'm like, oh yeah, well, when you go see Iron Man, he's going to win. So why do you go?
That is so
it's
true.
Like,
exactly.
When you watch Aquaman, Jason Momoa is going to be amazing. So why do you go? It's like, because you want to see it.
Right. And you know what? There's so many different ways to get to that ending. You may assume, the ending is going to be happy. Okay, but how do they get to that happy ending?
That's
There's
right.
so much in
it's
between.
Always the journey.
So many stories weaved in within the big story. And you never know how tragic, dramatic, you don't know what level it'll be on. So, you just have to be open, I think. So many stories told within the vast genre of romance. So.
Right. And it's that one, call it the mothership. You have the romance umbrella, but then you have all of these little umbrellas underneath. So you have sci-fi and fantasy and, mystery and thriller. And I mean, it's like everything else. And,
right.
It's amazing to me to go back and watch movies, and say, oh, wait a minute, this is a romance. But
right.
it's not listed as one when it's, marketed. But
right.
have you seen the movie Red?
I think I did. Did that
Willis.
come out a few years ago?
Yeah,
I
Bruce
think
Willis,
I did.
Morgan Freeman. Yeah, Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
I was watching it. I love that movie. And I'm watching. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a romance.
Don't you love that when the romance they sneak it in and you don't expect it?
Well, but that's the whole purpose of him doing what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's trying to protect her because he's totally fallen in love with this girl. But it's, the stuff's getting blown up and, fist fights and everything else. But I mean,
right.
and it's great and it's fun, but I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. If you took that aspect out, really? The purpose, like he's on a hit list and it's like, okay. And he's kind of like, whatever, because you could see at the beginning, he's just kind of, okay, life's boring. So would he really fight this hard? But, she gets involved. And it's like, whoa. So it's just a lot of things like that she's like, oh, wait a minute, this is a romance. So it's fun to see those things. I'm like, ooh, that was smart.
I love that. And if you think about what drives so many stories, even in talking about true crime, so much it's driven by love. So many people's actions, it's motivated by love. That's the basis of why so many things happen. So while people fall in love with The Godfather and so forth, they forget a lot of those underlying stories are based on relationships between two people that go awry or whatever the case may be. We do take that for granted. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that the idea that love is, well, what's the big deal? It's like, it's a huge deal. It's everything. It's truly everything.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
We've talked to our kids about, like the Greeks, I think, have like 4 or 5 6 different words for love. And so you have, all these different, fraternal love, your siblings and your parents, and then there's, eros, which is romantic love. And it would be nice if in English we had those, variety of words, because I think people would understand it better if it wasn't just the one. But then, American, a lot of times our attention spans are rather short, so maybe just one word is probably the best thing.
That's very true. And
so
I have to sneak in really quickly.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say really quickly. I'm also. Oh, good. Okay. I just wanted to tell you, I'm also writing for Harlequin Intrigue. So that's fun for me.
Tell me.
Yes. Yes. So I get to combine my love of romance with my love of true crime. So my first book with Intrigue comes out, I know, in June. It's called Cold Case True Crime, and it's about a blogger. My heroine is a blogger who writes for a popular true crime blog, and she has a friend who ends up being murdered, and the case goes cold because the police department kind of gives up on it. They think this guy overdosed, and they don't really want to put the effort into finding out what really happened to him. So she teams up with a detective, and they start studying this case to figure out exactly how this man died. So I've actually got 4 books in the works with Intrigue right now. So that's pretty exciting.
I guess so. So, walk us through, because everybody's got, you've done ghostwriting, you've done some other stuff, but when you pitched this idea to Iclce, when you pitched your series to Harlequin, what was your process? I mean, what was the hardest part of it, and then what was the part that went really smoothly?
Okay, so I'm going to age myself here, but I have been writing for many, many years. And I came in that way with the agent. Remember back in those days you had to have an agent? So my first book was published by Simon & Schuster. I Wish I Never Met You. And they won't look at anything if it's not submitted by an agent. So things have really changed now, as you know. So with Iclce, I actually submitted through their website blindly. And Jane, who runs the company, she's so wonderful. And she'd heard of me. She was familiar with my name, and she was excited about the project that I submitted. So that was not a difficult process for me. I think I just, connected with Iclce as a publisher, and we were just a great fit. Because as you know, every publisher won't be a great fit for every author.
That's right.
So, and then with Harlequin, I've been trying to get in there for a long time. Harlequin, it's not easy to get in there. Yeah. So I am friends with an author who connected me with an editor there who I'd actually been familiar with over the years. And I submitted some things to her, and so we worked together to get, the appropriate project, which ends up being Cold Case True Crime is my first project, and we've been working together ever since. So I think it's right place, right time, knowing the right people, having the right project. I think that's the way to really get in, but you just never know how it'll happen for you.
Right.
But
and
I also have friends and persistence. Absolutely. I have an author friend who's been submitting through Harlequin's website, and she's making a lot of traction. So, all things are possible, but you have to put forth the effort. You have to, put in the work, and like you said, stay consistent. And you can't get knocked down by the rejections. You're going to get rejected. Everybody in this industry has been rejected at some point. Yeah. So I found, and I'm really aging myself. I found a rejection letter in my closet from 1999.
Oh yeah.
From an agent. Yeah. And I said, wow, I've come a long way. I'm only 30, so how does that happen?
I know, like you were totally gifted at 10.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, but I've stuck with it, and that's the best advice. You have to stay the course, and because you never know, you might hit tomorrow, or you might not, but you just have to stay the course. So.
Well, and I think too to keep writing, because those stories are asking to be told, and you have to tell them, and also I think too that. I'm sure you've been with critique groups and everything, and there's people in it that don't want to change anything. It's like, well, they're just not getting my voice. It's like, well, maybe not, and it's maybe the way that you're presenting your voice. It's like, no, I think it's fine.
Right.
It's like, no, if you're getting the same feedback over and over, you need to look at it. Granted, there's going to be people that just not going to like what you write. That's just the deal. But yeah, you can't, if you keep getting the same response over and over, it's definitely something you need to to see. And I think that ego thing really gets in the way of whether it's writing or acting or music or even just, job hunting. I think that ego can really impede your progress for sure.
It really can. And I've always told myself you cannot get married to anything that you write, because if you're self-publishing, that's a different ballgame. You do have more freedom. But if you're writing for a larger publisher, they know their readers, they know the audience. So if they make suggestions, as you know, you've worked with editors, it's not easy. It is not easy.
No.
And you will have to make changes, and you really have to put the ego aside and get it done, because otherwise you won't make it. If you're not open to making those changes, bettering yourself, it won't happen for you. So
when you got your first round of edits from your editor on the first or second project you did, was the thing of the corrections or the suggestions pretty hard? And then how did you, change to, okay, let's just get this done? Because it's just that process of, all right, I'm going to drink some wine and I'm just going to get through this. And I'm going to just plow through them. It's not personal.
I have to tell you what is so amazing. This has definitely not happened with every book. But with the very first book, I Wish I Never Met You with Simon & Schuster, my editor had no changes. Not the line editor, though. This is the overall, she had no changes. And I was just shocked. But of course, by the time we get to the copy editor, I had those types of changes. So that, and maybe that spoiled me, because later on, I've worked with editors, and it does sting a little bit sometimes when, because I've had some really big rewrites. Sometimes I've had editors say, am I supposed to like this character here? She's not very likable here. Things like that. And, so there's some moments where you really have to rethink. I think sometimes maybe my characters come across a little bit harsh. And in the world of romance, you kind of have to be careful sometimes with that. So I'd have to tone things down, and you do kind of feel the ego coming up in the throat, and you have to swallow it and say, you know what, just, give it another look, because then you think about the readers. I know editors are always thinking about the reader. They're not thinking about the author's ego. So I have to keep that in mind, because you don't want the readers to be turned off. Readers will put a book down in a heartbeat. They have so much to choose from. So why do they have to stick it out with your book? So in the end, if it'll make for a better book, I always say change it, because it's worth it. You want people to feel as though they made a good purchase. You want them to believe in you as a writer. So if that's what it takes, you get it done.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point, because when you're switching things over and you're doing it for the reader, the beauty of social media, in a way, is you can go back and write an article about on your, website or whatever, and say, I thought about going in this direction. I did these changes, and it stirs up conversation with the people who read your stuff, because it's like,
Absolutely.
Oh, you were going to do that? Yeah, I'm so glad you changed that. Or it's kind of a little bit of, or, oh, wow, that would have been a totally different story, and it's really interesting. So we have so many avenues now. I think sometimes it's just figuring out which one to take.
I agree.
And that's the juggle for sure. So you've written romance. What is is there something you haven't written about yet, or in a genre you haven't written yet that you want to?
I have always wanted to write young adult fiction. That's something I've always wanted to do. I love children. I feel very connected to, I sit and watch Disney. I have not missed an episode of That's So Raven and Raven's Home. And I'm watching it by myself just because I'm a big Raven Simone fan.
Oh, I love her.
I just love it. I love her. So I'm watching Disney Channel, and there's something so pure and wholesome about the young adult world. And again, I know, you have to explore some of the other, challenges that young adults have when writing those books. But I think just the memories of childhood in writing those stories, I think I would really enjoy that. And I've also always wanted to connect with a family or friend who, for a real true crime story, to write the story of a family or friend group or something that lost someone to murder or something like that. I always see the true crime writers, and I'm really jealous, because they develop these relationships with these people, and they get to tell the story, and then we see them on Dateline talking about the book that they wrote. I've always wanted to do that as well.
And give them a voice, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you watch, if you've ever watched Drunk History. Raven Simone did an episode on there, and it's basically these guys. This one guy interviews friends, and they tell these stories, and they're drunk the whole time, so it's really kind of ad lib. And then when they have the actors doing the exact wording of the people talking, so of course they record the drunk people first, and then the actors have to record, but it's voiceover. It was crazy, and she did an episode of Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek, and it's one of my favorites because it's just the way she presents it. And they talk about the first generation Kiss on, network TV, and then they talk about how she met Martin Luther King because she was going to quit. And the show, and Martin Luther King's like, it was at an NAACP dinner, and he's like, please don't, because you're the role model for my children. I mean, you're a woman of color on TV who's an equal person in the sense of rank and, being in charge and everything. So she stayed, and then apparently NASA was like, so can you find, other people to come be in space? I mean, she's recruited for NASA, which I had no idea
I love that.
She had done.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I've watched it multiple times, shown my kids. It's like, see, one person makes a difference. It makes a huge difference in the world. So,
and emotionally you go
person.
through so much, but you don't know the effect that you have. You carry the burden and the pain of your experience, but then you don't know how you're inspiring the masses, so then that makes it worth it to know that you're making a difference. So yeah, I love that. I have not seen the show. I've seen advertisements for the show. Haven't seen it, but I have to watch that. It sounds really good.
Yeah. I think it's on YouTube. So if you just do Drunk History and then just do Nichelle Nichols, I believe it'll come up.
Okay.
If you have Hulu, I think all the episodes of Drunk History are on there, I believe.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. I do have Hulu.
So that's a good one. Yeah. So it's just, and then sadly, of course, 2020 being 2020, I think they ended the series, but I think it's been on for 6 years. But it's very clever on how they've done a lot of it, and all these different characters. It's just the way they've set it up. It's just brilliant. So all sorts of stuff, and they do not hold back. They do not, which is great. Because, history is history. So let's just, be honest with it. But yeah, it's it's a good one. So tell me what you're reading these days.
So I have a book, Wax by Jules Asner. This book all the time. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a romantic suspense novel. Do you remember Jules Asner? She was on the E! Channel.
I do.
And she married Steven Soderbergh. I love her. And she wrote Wax. I was so excited. Weinstein Books published it, and then they were supposed to make it into a movie, and then we know what happened with that situation, so I don't think that will ever happen. But I just love this book. It's about a television writer who lives in LA, and she writes for a crime television show, and she ends up getting caught up in a real life true crime situation. And there's also a romantic aspect to it as well, which is really good. But the book has so many twists and turns, and it really is a big inspiration to me and a motivator. So I always go back to that book for whatever reason. It's like I've read it, and I don't know if you reread books, but I always go back and reread books because I just love to do that. But I've got a couple that that are on my list once I can get some deadlines knocked out. One is Melissa McClone's Sweet Yuletide. The holiday spirit is still in me. So that one is really cute. It's about two strangers who end up staying at the same beach house in South Carolina, and it's an accident.
Okay.
And of course, they're both angry about it. It's the holidays, they're alone. But they end up connecting, through this beach house, and, the love story starts to develop. And then Alyssa Cole has a book out called When No One Is Watching. So that book is about, gentrification in Brooklyn, and they're comparing it to the movie Get Out and Rear Window. It's gotten rave reviews. I'm really looking forward to reading that one as well. Yeah,
it's intense, and she does beautiful imagery in her stories. So it's definitely keep the lights on while you're reading that one, because it'll keep you thinking, possibly worried.
Books
of all sorts of things.
That it's interesting. Books affect you in a way it's differently than movies. When you read something and if it's scary, I feel like it just penetrates differently than watching.
Yeah.
Those words seeping into your brain. I've read things that I couldn't shake them for years, after I've read certain things. But seeing it, it's not as effective as things. Does that happen to you as well?
Yeah, it sticks pretty hard. One of the reasons I've read maybe 2 Stephen King books. I just I can't. I read Misery and I read most of The Stand. I think I was just like I can't get through. It's just
no.
It's in a way. I mean, Misery was intense. And even the parts that are supposed to be comedic in a weird way, really intense. You're just not sure. You're just not sure if anything, what's going to happen. And so I felt like really uneasy versus, a movie I could turn off for a while. I could walk away, and you can with a book, but man, a book just really sticks with you, hard.
It does.
So yeah,
it does. I tried to read The Shining as a child. And I didn't get past chapter 1.
Yeah,
that one, I can barely watch the movie though. So the movie is terrifying, but the book couldn't do it. It was too much.
Yeah. And, and that's a testament to his writing as well, because it's,
absolutely
intense and layered and creepy. And, I was actually in Maine years ago with, my friend, and we were driving back from Lewiston to Rockland. It was like a 2-hour drive, and we hit one stoplight in 2 hours, and it was rainy and dark, and they don't use reflective paint on the roads, and then there's no street lights, so, and it was dark and it was pitch, and I was driving, and my friend's like, yeah, you might want to slow down around here because sometimes the moose come out on the road. I'm like,
as if that wasn't enough what you were dealing with. Now you have to deal with the moose as well. That is terrifying.
Right, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, no wonder Stephen King came up with all this weird, creepy stuff, because it is eerie driving down this road.
Yeah.
It's like I was
just
waiting for a clown
to
come out.
Oh, my goodness. I'm just imagining that in my mind. It's terrifying.
It is. I was like, we're going to die. We're going to die on this road. I don't know. It's going to happen.
Might not make it.
Not happy about it. So yeah, it's books I think really pierce your brain a different way than movies. And there's some amazing movies. I just think it's, well, I mean, it's obviously a different part of your brain, but it's truly, it does. I think it just kind of seeps, a really good book really seeps into areas of your brain you weren't expecting. So
absolutely,
that's kind of the beauty of it. So, and then you wrote this beautiful, lovely escapism with the Iclce Cafe. So I'm so thrilled for your success. This is fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
The cover itself is just absolutely breathtaking, and I just love it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So you've got your next set of books coming out, or your first of 4 books coming out with Harlequin Intrigue in June.
Right.
And then do you know what your release schedule is for those?
June for the first one, and then I have a book called Captured at Christmas that comes out in December. That'll be Harlequin Intrigue as well. And then I've got several books coming out with Iclce. My next Christmas book, I just wrapped that one up. It's called Christmas in Full Bloom. And I'll be revealing that cover on my Instagram tomorrow for New Year's Day. It is, I can brag because I didn't design it. Lee Hyatt designed it. It is gorgeous, Patricia. She did such an amazing job on this cover. So, I'm so excited about it. And then I've got a series called A Fearless Fairy Tale, which is a contemporary women's fiction, series. That'll be out with Iclce starting in March. So March and then September of next year for the second book. And the third book will be out in early 2022. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. It's like a coming of age tale, but for a grown woman who's looking to make some changes in her life after she gets her heart broken by her longtime crush.
Oh, wow. Well, you're just a busy, extremely organized lady. So I am so jealous.
Oh, no, don't be jealous. I've just been behind the computer nonstop.
But in a good way.
Well, in this pandemic. Yeah, the pandemic is really, I remember we were doing a Harlequin Intrigue event earlier this year, and they were saying, book sales are really up. So they were like, keep writing. And that's,
keep writing. That's right.
I mean, because we're all in the house. Yeah. So, we
that's
have to
right.
give the readers something to read, keep everybody entertained. So.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you being here today. For anybody who wants to find Denise, you can find her on her Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, BookBub, Goodreads, Writer's Blog, and her link for Love at the Iclce Cafe is out now, and everything is in the write-up of the show. Thank you so much, Denise. Please come back and talk
This show brought to you by
next
Circle of Seven Productions. www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.